and welcome you all to the Inside I Am webinar on preparing for internship in finance. The format that we'll follow for this is first, I'll give you a brief introduction about myself. Second, we will crack this internship experience in 3 steps. First, what are the preparations that are needed for your interview preparation to get this internship offer? Second, what is it that you need to prepare before the internship starts? And third is what you need to do when you are there on the ground to make sure that you leave a lasting impression on your team and get the offer. And then in the process, I will answer the questions which some of you have posed during in the links. And secondly, whatever questions that come out here on the live chat, based on the time that we have. All right, so I've done my BTech in IT from VJTI. I was always intrigued by markets. So my brother Ashish, I'm Cal 2013 pass out, he just said like, so why don't you try giving NSC's certification of financial markets exams on capital markets and stuff? And that was the start of my journey in financial markets. I began investing in markets right from my first salary. And after my BTech, I went to JP Morgan as a technology and followed by a business analyst. During the entire process of these 3 years, I realized that, okay, I want to move to the front office. I have interest in financial markets. So, and I need to build that skill set for that, the domain knowledge. So that's when I decided to pursue my MBA at IIM Bangalore. And here, within 6 months, I got an internship in JP Morgan Markets in Singapore. So now let's start with the process. Why JP Morgan specifically, if you were to ask, then there are a number of reasons. Some of them, one, is the open culture that they have at JP Morgan. You can approach any senior leader if you need any help or mentorship, and they will be approachable and always find time for you. And second is the diverse pool of talent that is there at JP Morgan. All the stalwarts of the industries are working there. And the best thing that I found was, even though they are so brilliant, all of them were very approachable and down to earth. Third thing that I found was the diversity, the diverse set of talent, and the diversity which is respected by the employees there. And if you see, there are employees who are working right from 10, 15, 20 years of experience, which speaks volume about their culture. And the fourth thing is the training that they provide. So I can definitely mention about the technology analyst program, which I was part of, which was a 6 weeks training post my campus placement. And it helped me to have a smooth transition from campus to corporate. Even for management trainees who join for the first 2 months, they are sent on in training in New York, where you are taught by the stalwarts in the industries, like, for example, Ashwath Damodar, who's considered as the father of valuation. And the best thing is the network that you form with the different management trainees or the analysts who have just joined in at that point of time. And you make friends for life. So that network has really helped me when I was the TAP analyst. For example, I became the events and networking lead. And then I was selected as the technology analyst lead to represent the 540 analysts at the global level. So you have very high visibility if you show the initiative and for your efforts. Okay, so coming to the first step, that we have in this process is shortlist. So first of all, let me mention that there is no prerequisite or need of particular background for being shortlisted. So all you need to do in your resume is show your interest in finance in some way or the other. So be it by being part of your finance clubs or participating in case challenges. For example, JP Morgan has its JP Morgan Markets Case Challenge, which it rolls out to some of the IIMs. Then like investing in markets. So your resume should reflect some inclination towards finance. Second is the PPTs. So the banks would come for PPTs, ask genuine questions that you have about the role, about the experience, make every use of that opportunity if they come for presentation in your organization, in your institute. Third is the interview. So now there are different roles in finance as well. One is your investment banking, then markets, corporate banking. So in almost all of them, one very important thing which is required is your knowledge about the current scenario. You need to be updated of what is happening in the industry currently, be it the mergers and acquisitions for IB or what is happening in the markets, and most importantly, what are your views on that particular incident or on markets in general, which is what they will ask. So the best thing that you can do for preparing for your interview is A, you need to know your resume inside out, whatever you have written in your resume. Second is whatever you are writing in your resume, you need to know 3 to 4 levels in depth about it. So basically, you need to know what you know really well. Okay, so once you prepare a 3 to 4 levels of why questions on the incident or on whatever you have done in your career, that really helps you to be clear of why you want what you want and be more prepared for the interview yourself. So you yourself need to be first convinced that why you want to go for an internship in finance, and then only is when you can convince your interviewer. So make sure, like, use different forums, like for example, this is one of the forums where you get to interact with your seniors, try to find out how their internship was like, and try to understand whether you really want to be uh, doing or trying to go for a career in finance or any other field. So internship is a very awesome opportunity where you get a first hand experience of that internship, so make the most of it. So this is your interview process. So like for example, I can definitely talk about what was I asked was more on at that time, like why is the market overvalued, your background, why do you want to join JP Morgan. So these are some of the common questions which you need to be thorough with for any bank that you will apply for finance. Second is your preparation once you have got through the internship. Okay, so again, it depends on which line you are in, which role you have taken, and which desk you are assigned. Okay, so for example, for investment banking and corporate banking, majorly that you need to know, even for your interviews for that matter, is your financial accounting and a bit of valuation, which is part of corporate finance. And for markets, you need to be tracking markets, what is happening in the markets as of now, what how has been the trend for of nifty or gold. So based on the desk that you're allotted, for example, if you're allotted the FX desk, say FX and rates desk, then I would highly recommend you to read International Finance by PJ Update. So it again depends on which desk you are allotted. Based on that, you need to prepare for that desk accordingly. Now, the third thing that is there is when you are there on the ground. Okay, so First thing, it's very important for you to be energetic, enthusiastic, and keen to learn what you want to learn, what you are here for. With respect to the work hours, it totally depends on which company you are. For me, it was more on, let's say, like 16 hours. But again, it is again completely flexible and on you how much you want to invest your time. So it is again, the onus lies on you how much you want to make the most of your internship. There are vast opportunities to learn. So first is, as I mentioned, being enthusiastic. Second is, it is very important to talk to your team members, talk to other desks, and network, because this network is something which will definitely help you identify what are the different opportunities, be it in your desk or other desks. So it's very important that you talk to people proactively. So when it comes to markets, yeah, there will be times there when the traders or the sales team are busy, but you need to be cognizant of the fact that identify the time when they are free, when they are busy, and then based on that, you ask questions. It's very important to ask questions. So they know that you have come after your first year of MBA. What you need to do is ask questions, and what is important is where you were at the start of your internship and how much you have learned in the internship is what will decide, and how many people you know on your desk, how well you gel with your team. So there are a number of factors that will go in to decide whether you are able to make that lasting impression or not. So the most important thing, as I mentioned, is for any firm, it is more on the right mindset that you have. You should always be keen to learn, and that is what will also be tested during your interviews. Whether even if you do not come from a finance background, do you really have the hunger to learn, and do you have the right attitude? So that is something which will definitely help you crack this internship process. So I am open for any questions if you have. Okay, so one of the questions was, how much technical knowledge do I need to have about this in finance? So, as I mentioned before, you do not need to understand the entire markets for per se. What you need to know is whatever topic that has been covered in your college, like let's say financial accounting. So you need to know your the three important financial statements, how it happens, and the most important thing is know whatever you know very well. Okay, so be it your, if you're, for example, if you're interested in equity markets, then you need to know about equity markets well. If, for example, what is your strategy for investing in equity markets? If you mentioned you're investing, do you use fundamental analysis, do you use technical analysis? How do you go about preparing for your strategy of investing? So what they are looking for is your thought process in the interview, and they will judge you based on that. For example, the other intern who came along with me was a fresher, and he did not have a background in finance. But then during the interview, they asked him, like, okay, this is how this strategy works. What will be the payoff of this strategy? How we will draw the graph, and on the fly, he actually solved it logically. And he cracked the interview. So that's how you need to go about cracking the interviews. So it's all about your structured thought process towards how you go about identifying a scenario. Okay, so here's this question again, same which has come, that if you are a fresher, and don't have a prior experience, how to boost the resume. So as I mentioned again, the another candidate along with me was a fresher. So when it comes to finance, they will definitely look for different diverse profiles. So if you are a fresher, what you need to show is one, your interest for finance, which as I mentioned you can show it in different ways, by being part of your clubs or being a volunteer, or by taking part in different case studies competitions which these banks organize, and show your interest for finance. Okay. And it's not really required that you need to have like a CFA certification. Of course, having a background in finance or doing these certifications really helps, because they again prepare you to form that domain knowledge, and to tackle the any questions which are coming in the interview on those lines. So you can do it through these certifications, or you can do it and prepare it on your own for the interviews. Okay. Also, will yeah. So as I see here, CFA certifications is definitely good to have it on your resume, but it's not the make or break for getting shortlisted. For example, I haven't done a CFA myself, so it's completely depends on the interest that you show for finance in different ways. For example, it is important that, okay, you are having something related to finance in your resume, be it in one of the three ways which I have told you. So that will definitely help you talk during your interview. So basically you need to have something concrete that you will mention about that you have done, and that you're interested in finance and you're keen to learn. So these are the three major areas that you need to cover. Okay, so let me look at some other questions now. What are the expectations from a person with commerce background during the process for IB roles? So, as I mentioned, during your IB interviews, you will be tested majorly on valuations. Okay, so you need to know the discounted cash flows, why you use the related to corporate finance are something which will definitely uh, come handy during your interviews, because they will ask you questions something around valuations itself. Okay, let me move on to the next question. Okay, so basically, for the application part, so JP Morgan comes for internship experience for the campus, in the campus. Then apart from that, when I was in Singapore, I saw many of them who had applied online. Okay, so for example, as I mentioned about diversity, there is really a great amount of diversity. There were employees who had background of philosophy and psychology, so it's completely not based on what background you come from. In fact, JP Morgan really it respects diverse backgrounds that are coming from. Okay, so when it comes to the work culture, so it again in finance, the work culture depends from company to company. I can definitely speak for JP Morgan, as I have worked there for close to 3 years, and I have also interned. So it is work life balance is very much appreciated and considered valuable in JP Morgan. So for example, uh, we were not encouraged to come on weekends. In fact, If you work late hours, and you are and work and come on weekends, you may also be considered as not productive enough, that you're not able to manage your work in the given time. So, with respect to the work hours, it's very flexible. It is completely dependent on you, on how much time you want to invest in during the internship and how much you want to learn and gain from the internship. There was never a expectation that you need to work for so and so hours by a manager. So as far as you are giving your deliverables on time, it is perfectly fine. For example, the best thing which I liked about the internship was that it was completely upon us how we want to structure the internship. So you need to take initiatives, identify the tasks or the gaps in the team, talk to, and that will again happen by talking to your team members. So that's how I talked to the team members. I got tasks for myself and then started working on those tasks. For example, identifying some of the areas which are less researched in the team and needs some inputs on those areas. So you can pick up something, some areas like that, and work on it. Second is, what you can do is the morning, track the markets, watch the daybreak on Bloomberg, and prepare a view of what has happened in the markets and prepare a short summary of what has happened last night and send it to your team members. So, any and every way which helps you help the team members and shows your understanding of the markets, go ahead and do it. Then another way that you can prepare is you have this Bloomberg Market Concepts training, which is available on Bloomberg. So if you have access to Bloomberg in your campus, do go through it, do those trainings. They are really helpful to help you get familiarized with Bloomberg, because that is one of the terminals which will be available for you during the internship, and make the most use of that application. So if you know the application beforehand, you will be very well versed with it, and it will save your time on that side. Okay, so let me come to the next question. Um, so, is there an opportunity to go abroad while working for JP Morgan? So, one of the major things which JP Morgan is known for is their mobility. So, if you see, like as I had mentioned, I was first in my technology analyst role, and because of my interest in business, I wanted to move to business analyst role. So within a year and a half, when I realized, I pitched it to my manager, and then they actually, after 6 months of time, when they had a vacancy, they gave me a business analyst role in the same team. So that is, mobility is really very highly valued at JP Morgan, be it within the team, across line of departments, or even across locations. So there were some of my seniors, technology analysts, who had gone from Mumbai office to Singapore office and other locations. So it totally depends on the talent that you showcase and the requirement in your team at that particular location. And for the Singapore office, during our campus placements, we were selected for markets role, and then after that, we were also we were interviewed by the Singapore and Hong Kong offices, and some of us were placed to the Singapore and Hong Kong offices at that point. So again, as I mentioned, that there is some of them as I had also applied online. In If you really wish to do an internship and get the opportunity to prove yourself. Okay, so let me move on to the next question. What was your experience while working at JP Morgan? It's my dream company. Okay, your inputs will be valuable. So When I was interning at JP Morgan in Singapore office, what really uh, intrigued me was everyone is in a state of flow. Everyone is very enthusiastic and passionate about what they're doing, and you can really see that from the way they're engaged while they're working. So if you just go and sit by the desk, you will see them talking with their, or the trading team is talking with the sales team across the desk. They are booking trades side by side, and so there is a lot of synergy which happens between the trading and the sales team, which I saw. And everyone is very passionate about what they do. So as I mentioned before, it is important for you to identify whether market really interests you, or say a role in finance. And if that does happen, then it is the place for you. Because if the work is demanding, I would definitely agree on that. And but if you really like what you're doing, then you will really enjoy it. So I can definitely share my experience. So when I was working on my trading desk, and then I moved on the sales desk, as you work more and you start enjoying your work, you also get in a state of flow and you enjoy the experience of working, and then time just flies. So you will not realize when you started and it's already evening, if you're really enjoying what you're doing. So that is one thing which I would definitely suggest everyone, that try to identify, try to track markets, see, because be it a trading or a sales role or an equity research analyst role or in any others, you will definitely need to track markets. And if you really enjoy that, if you like the thrill of the markets, the uncertainty that is built in it, then you will enjoy the experience. Okay, so what kind of okay, HR questions were asked? So as I mentioned, it is, one is why finance, second is why the company which you are applying for. So these are the two main questions. So usually you will start with tell me about yourself, and then tell me about yourself again, it is completely up to you how you present yourself. You need to have some kind of story or a reason why you want to join the company, and why you want to get in finance, and why that particular role. So it even goes till then. So you need to be clear why you want to go for finance or that company and that role. If you are really clear on all these things, then it will definitely help you to crack that interview. And you need to be, so before convincing them, you need to be yourself sure why you want to get in there. And once you are, you will be able to convince your HR as well. Any other questions? Okay, so let me look at some of the questions here. What is that one competency you felt at your internship one needs to have or develop for oneself? Okay, so one thing which I can definitely say worked for me during the internship is networking, talking to people around, be it the juniors or be it the senior leaders. It really helps when you talk to your manager, to your hiring managers, and try to identify what are the expectations that they have from you. So once you are clear about what expectations that they have, okay, and you maintain that rapport, you understand, okay, that these are the things that you need to do. And once you decide, okay, that this is my interest area, I would like to work here, you can again go back to your manager and have a conversation on that and try to see if that is really going to add value to the team. And once you do that, you are putting the efforts in the right direction. So it is very important that you put it that way, because all of you, I'm sure, are very talented. And but what people generally lack during those times is to know where to put your efforts in. Okay, so to identify those opportunities, you need to talk to your manager, to your senior leaders, to the team members, and only when you talk you will understand that what is expected out of you, what, whether you are on track or not. So have constant meetings with your managers, with your team members, and try to identify that, what are your strengths and how you can contribute yourself to the team. For example, one of the things which I still remember, which my manager told me, was it is very important for you to work on your strengths. Okay, people do the mistake that they keep on trying to improve on their weakness, but what is important is for you to work on your strengths and make your strength so great and so amazing that people will really look at you, up to you for your strengths, and may not even look at your weaknesses. So it is very important to identify what are your strengths and how you can use them during in your projects, which will also decide, where you are a perfect fit in your team or in your desk or some other desk. So it is important to identify that. So yes, as I mentioned, that is one thing that really helped me. And another thing which I can also mention about the senior lead, to succeed and need success as much as you need air, you will definitely be able to crack the entire process. So I know, as I'm mentioning about this, but passion is really something which they will definitely be able to identify in you, like you, through your actions. So your actions would be the thing which will definitely show whether, okay, this is something which you're finding it interesting or not finding it interesting. It is very visible. So you need to be very clear about what you want to do and why you want to do. And once you are clear about it, identify what the expectations are of your team and make sure that your efforts are in the right direction, and keep tracking them day again and again, every week or every fortnight, and then find out that if you are going in the right direction. And this will definitely help you, as it has helped me to get a good review based on whatever I have worked in the entire during my entire internship. Okay, so um, what all did you research about the company and the job profile? Yeah, so as I was part of JP Morgan before, I was pretty much aware about its culture. But if you haven't worked before, you can get the ideas about the company by different ways. Like one is, when they come for PPTs, they will definitely talk about all the aspects about the work, the profile, the role that you will be getting, what are the expectations. So make sure you attend those PPTs, make notes, ask genuine questions. Asking questions And the second way that you can do that is, or by going to the JP Morgan website, you will see some interesting videos of analysts sharing their experience from across the different regions from India to go through those videos and those links, you will get an idea of how the work there looks like. Third is, if you have any seniors who are working there in that particular role, by all means reach out to them, ask them how is their work life, what are the challenges they are facing, how are they doing it, and what is it that is really making them stick to what they are doing. So by these different methods, you can try to search about that the company and the profile that you are interested in. Okay, so let me see if there are any other questions here in the meantime. What are they looking for while selecting the candidate? Okay, so it is again based on the vacancies that are there. So, what are the roles for which they are coming for, and the requirement for that roles. So, based on the requirements, they will shortlist the candidates, and again, based on during your interview, what they will generally look for is having that clarity of thought that why you want to join JP Morgan, why do you want to come to finance, and having the right mindset, having the right attitude towards work, and why you want to be a part of JP Morgan. These will be the questions which will, if you are clear by yourself, they will definitely help you crack the interview. And then again, whatever knowledge that you have and whatever you have done in your past, how well you know whatever you have done, be it your final year project or be it some paper in during your MBA, it could be anything. So it is completely up to you on how you drive the interview. So the HR gets the time to ask the questions appropriately at times. Okay, so are there any other questions? Okay, so I it seems that I've answered almost all the questions that I see here, and so I would say all the best. I'm sure all of you are very talented, and JP Morgan is one of the best investments banks in the world. It is one of the largest bank by market capitalization. Nevertheless, it is one of the best banks on the street. But if by sincere efforts and passion towards the role and why you want to join JP Morgan, I'm sure you'll be able to crack the interview for it and the internship offer. Okay, all the best.